Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking all about dry mushroom. I'm gonna show you the most commonly seen dry mushroom in the market, the difference between them, how to choose the right dry mushroom for your recipe, as well as the most important thing, how to soak your dry mushroom properly. Check it out. Hi new friends, this is Erica right here. I'm a Taiwanese citizen currently living in America. Cooking and traveling is my passion, so I'm here to share with you my favorite Asian recipes. On top of that, I also make videos talking about food knowledge and the history background of the dish on this channel, so if that interests you, please subscribe and keep watching. First, let's talk about why would you want to use a dry mushroom instead of the fresh mushrooms. Dry shiitake mushroom in particular is the staple in a lot of Asian cuisine. The drying process intensifies the deep umami flavor of the mushrooms, allowing them to lend their strong flavor to the stock, soup, braised, or stir-fried. Fresh mushroom not only don't have as much concentrated flavor as a dry mushroom, but their boiling resistant level is also weaker than the dry mushroom. You can sometimes see this type of dry mushroom in the normal Western supermarket, but most likely you will be able to find more variety in the Asian supermarket as well as online such as Amazon. So what are the most commonly seen type of dry mushroom? In Chinese cooking, the most commonly seen dry shiitake mushroom is definitely the Lentilluna adotus, which you might know as the shiitake mushroom. But there's actually thousands of different types of shiitake mushroom that is grown in different altitude, different environment, different country, and different brands. But you can categorize them into 3 different levels of dry shiitake mushroom, which they varies by flavor, texture, and of course the price. I can't really find a translation of these 3 different levels of shiitake mushrooms name in English, so I'm gonna translate it into English myself and also give you the Chinese character in the description box down below. And I'll also put a different type of purchase link in the description box down below if you need to buy your mushroom online. The 3 different levels of shiitake mushroom, I'll translate it straight to flower shiitake, winter shiitake, and the normal shiitake mushroom, in the order of the pricing from high to low. The making of the different level of these shiitake mushrooms is mainly based on its environment and the growing temperature. The normal shiitake mushroom is grown in a higher temperature environment, so it grows fast with a thinner cap and a longer stem. The edge of the cap will be more open and flat with the milder flavor. And compared to the winter shiitake that grows in a lower temperature in the lab nowadays, it grows slower with a thicker cap. The edge of the cap are curvier with a stronger flavor. And here the most high-end dry shiitake mushroom will have to come to the flower shiitake mushroom. Flower shiitake mushroom is basically the same as the winter shiitake, but when it grows to the right size before harvesting, the temperature will drop under 32 Fahrenheit, and also the environment turns super dry, causing the surface of the mushroom to crack into patterns. These type of flower shiitake back in the day is really hard to find because the temperature and the timing have to be perfect to create this type of flower shiitake mushroom. This is why back in the day this is really hard to find and causing the price to rise. But nowadays most of the mushroom are grown in the lab, so controlling the temperature is relatively easier. So the price from the flower shiitake to the normal shiitake is not that much of a difference right now. The flower shiitake mushroom is definitely the best in taste, and also the pattern is the reason why I call the flower shiitake. Now you might think that since the flower shiitake is the most high-end out of the 3 and it's not that expensive anymore, might as well use it in everything, right? Not exactly. Since the 3 different types of dry shiitake mushroom all have their own unique flavor and characteristic, we should use them for a different purpose that suits them. So what type of mushroom should you be using in your recipe then? Let's first talk about the cheapest option, the normal shiitake. Since it's still in the market, that means it's not all bad. The flavor of the normal shiitake mushroom is relatively milder than the other 2. But its aroma is still pretty strong, especially right after it comes in contact with hot oil. The thin cap and stem means the flavor is easier to release and the soaking time is shorter. In most cases, around 20 minutes will be more than enough. The gill on a normal shiitake mushroom are more defined and it's easier to absorb the sauce and has a great chew to it. As a result, the normal shiitake mushroom is a great choice for stir-fry dishes, hot pot, or steamed chicken. The steamed normal shiitake mushroom smells so good that other ingredients in the dish during the steaming process can also absorb its umami and aroma. Next, the flower shiitake. The flower shiitake is basically the opposite of the normal shiitake mushroom. The flavor is richer itself and it also have a pretty good aroma. The texture of the dry flower shiitake mushroom itself is thick and meaty, bouncy but smooth. But the downside is that since the mushroom is thicker, the soaking time will be relatively longer. Depending on the brand, the size, the type of mushroom you get, it varies from 2 hours to 10 hours. And it's also take a longer time for the flower shiitake mushroom to absorb the seasoning and the flavor, but when it does, it can taste really good. Flower shiitake is best suited to make soup, stocks, or braces. It is resistant to the long-term cooking, and matter of fact, it prefers that way. On our next video, I'm gonna use this flower shiitake mushroom to make a Hong Kongese style vegan soup, so remember to subscribe and stay tuned. Last but not least is our winter shiitake mushroom. Simply put, the winter mushroom is anything between a normal shiitake and a flower shiitake, but with gratings. With its name winter shiitake mushroom, you might be able to tell that the growing environment of this type of mushroom have a lower temperature. And simply put, the higher level of the winter shiitake mushroom might taste closer to the flower shiitake, and the lower grading will taste closer to the normal shiitake mushroom. The usage of this kind of mushroom is also depend on the grading, but in general, it's kind of like the all-purpose flour that you can use it in all type of cuisines. By the end of the day, the quality still varies a lot by brand. So the bottom line is, if you only want to buy one type of dry mushroom and keep it at home to use it in all kind of purpose, I would recommend you to get the winter shiitake mushroom. But in my case, since I cook a lot, so I would prefer to have a little variety. So in my house, I always have a jar of flower shiitake mushroom as well as a normal shiitake mushroom. I use the flower shiitake mushroom to make soup, and I use the normal shiitake mushroom to stir fry. Now the most important part of the video is here. First, let's talk about storing the mushrooms. Storing the dry mushroom is very simple. You can just store them in the original bag and clip it airtight. Or you can also put it into a jar or a zipper bag and keep it in a dry and cool cabin away from moisture. If you got space in your fridge, you can always keep it in the fridge. It can last even longer. Next, I want to talk about how to properly clean your dry mushroom before usage. Properly clean your dry mushroom before soaking and usage is very important. Why, you ask? Because soaking mushroom in water will cause its umami flavor and some water-soluble nutrients to leak into the water. So if you can, you should definitely try to use the soaking water in your recipe. So that makes cleaning your mushroom before soaking very important. And here's the best way to clean your dry mushroom. Soak your mushroom in the room temperature tap water for 5 minutes. To make sure all your mushrooms are well soaked in water, use a plate to press down the mushroom and fill up with the water to match up with the plate. If you don't press down a mushroom with something heavy, the mushroom will be floating on top of the water and they will be half soaked, half not. Now, 5 minutes has passed. Drain out the water and then sprinkle some flour on top of the mushroom. Any type of flour will do really. Flour is a great tool to soak out the dirt and impurity on the mushrooms because dry mushroom has a lot of wrinkle on its surface, especially the dry flower shiitake. Soaking a dry mushroom briefly is to soften up the surface of the mushroom so we can brush off the dirt easily. You can either use a food brush or a toothbrush if you will. When that's done, rinse off all the flour on the top of the mushroom, and now we can properly soak our mushroom. Like we mentioned earlier, depending on the type of mushroom you get, the soaking time will be different. Simply put, normally the denser and thicker the mushroom is, the longer it needs. Figuring out the exact time you need to soak your mushroom, it really is your homework that you have to figure out yourself. But the safest ways to make sure your mushroom is properly soaked is to put your mushroom into a container and soak it in the fridge a day before usage. If you're just using a normal shiitake and you're soaking your mushroom right before usage, the best temperature to soak your water is 86 Fahrenheit, which is 30 Celsius. This is the reason why you still have to soak your mushroom even you're making a hot soup. You can't just toss it straight in because the temperature is wrong. The hot temperature water will only release the umami flavor into the water, but the texture of the mushroom will still be hard and chewy. Now, to properly soak your mushroom, there's two ways to do so: the traditional way and the fast way. Let me show you how. To properly soak your mushroom in the traditional way, we need to prepare some slightly warm water and add in 1 teaspoon of sugar. I like to soak my mushroom in the container if I'm leaving it overnight. I'll fill up the whole container with water to make sure all the dry mushroom are properly soaked under the water. The reason why we add sugar into our water is rising the water pressure. It will not only speed up the water soaking process, but also reduce the dissolution of water-soluble nutrients. And now just leave it in a room temperature to let it soften up. Check every hour or two to make sure it's all softened, or you can put it into the fridge for at least 6 hours. The 6-hour minimum I'm talking about is more of a winter shiitake mushroom or the flower shiitake mushroom soaking time. The normal shiitake mushroom should never take longer than an hour. The dry shiitake mushroom that's been soaked in water can be left in the fridge for around 24 hours. So whenever you're using your mushroom, you can always soak it in the fridge a night before. And here it is. 8 hours later, press the stem on the mushroom to make sure it's all plump and soft to touch. We're good to go. If there's any reason that you're not gonna use your mushroom within 24 hours, just separate the water and the mushroom, pat dry the mushroom, and keep it in a container with paper towel for no longer than 3 days. Longer than that, it might start to get moldy, might as well soak something new. I always use this method to soak my flower shiitake mushroom before I make the soup or stock, because I can add in the soaking water into our dish to keep the umami flavor and the nutrient in our recipe. That's why properly washing your mushroom beforehand is super important. Now, if you think that takes too long, here's a faster and easier way to soak your mushroom that will take you less than 10 minutes. Using this method, we won't be able to use the soaking water in our dish, so make sure you only use this method if you're really in rush or you're making stir-fry dish that you don't need any soaking water. Prepare an airtight container and add in 86 Fahrenheit water, which is 30 Celsius water, and your dry mushroom, sugar, as well as a tablespoon of flour. Adding flour into this water is the same idea of washing your mushroom with the flour. It can help you soak up the impurity and the dirt on the mushrooms. So in this case, you don't need to pre-wash your mushroom. Now, cover up the lid and start shaking as hard as you can for 3 minutes. Most mushrooms should be able to soften up within 3 minutes, but some might take longer. Check every 3 minutes to see if your mushroom is ready. I've never had to shake my mushroom more than 10 minutes before, but still it might differ from the type of mushroom that you buy. Now, let's take a look. Ooh, the water is gross, isn't it? All the impurity have been soaked out of the mushroom in the water, but some of the mushroom is still a little bit hard, so I'm gonna shake for another 3 minutes. Now, 6 minutes has passed, the mushrooms are plump and smooth. All we need to do is rinse them off, toss out the water, and they're good to use. Now you have learned all you need to know about the dry shiitake mushroom. I'm gonna use this mushroom to make some soup and share the recipe with you next time. But before you go, as usual, let's learn some Chinese, shall we? The word of the day today is 香菇, shiitake mushroom. That's it. Shiitake mushroom is 香菇. Thank you for watching the video to the end. Let me know if these information are useful for you by giving this video a thumbs up. It's only gonna take you a second, but it means a lot to me. I make a video on YouTube every Monday and Thursday, so remember to hit that bell and you'll never miss out. Last but not least, don't forget to subscribe on my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye!